And now, of course, we're getting tons of gaslighting, Doc, from the media telling us, no, not only is Falcon Cap great, he's actually better than Steve Rogers, and he's the only logical character that could ever be Captain America moving forward.
Felt like I was reading from an article from like 2016, 2017 again. In fact, I felt like I read this exact article in 2016 or 2017. And that was like the most perplexing thing, because we have evidence to the contrary. We have years now of publishing history. We have storyline history. We have other stories that had already addressed this issue that we can go back 15, 18, 20 years to read that prove otherwise. I'll be honest, the Captain America Brave New World did a little bit better than I expected, so good for it. I don't know what its second weekend's looking like so far. So it's a little more successful than I thought it was, or thought it was going to be. But as it stands right now, we've got 6-7 years of, if not longer, of Falcon Cap in the comics that prove not only is Sam Wilson not a better Captain America, and not the best Captain America, and not the most logical person to carry on the mantle of Captain America, but people just don't even like it.
Of all Captain America's potential successors, Sam Wilson is the only one who is truly fit to take the mantle. Sam's unique perspective allows him to fully understand the weight behind Cap's shield, and he's one of the few strong enough to carry it. His version of Cap embodies the complexities of modern America, and 2015's Captain America Sam Wilson comic book series showcases this level of understanding, according to Screen Rant, who are going to have all the quotes that we're talking about within this particular article. And that is the fundamental basis of the article and the argument that we're going to be getting this entire time. And for anybody that really supports Sam Wilson as Captain America over Steve Rogers, is that Steve Rogers doesn't represent modernity. It's not representing the message of modern media, and therefore it's no longer applicable to American comic books. And only Sam Wilson can represent that, because he's spreading the message that they want people to hear.
And I was right. This is a revision of an article from 10 years ago talking about this exact thing, because it's talking about a comic that was released 10 years ago. This is them trying to pump up this movie version of Captain America, that somehow he's better and more equipped and everything to deal with the modern world than Steve ever was. I mean, first of all, we can say that we've addressed this in the past very, very clearly. There was, when Captain America, when Steve Rogers died at the end of Civil War, and when he was assassinated by Crossbones with the weird time bullet that didn't actually kill him, but killed him, but didn't kill him, we had an entire miniseries that was about who will wield the shield that covered this exact topic, with a bunch of, with the shield kind of moving around from person to person. And we established the people that can actually wield it. Sam was one that very clearly could not. The two people that really could, other than Bucky, that is, Hawkeye and Cable. Those are the two that were physically capable of doing it. Sam was very clearly not physically capable of it. That's the thing that has been part of the reason why this has been utterly rejected for the last 10 years, is because we already addressed it. And now you're saying, oh yeah, that thing we did 10 years prior to this, when we first put the shield and the costume on Sam, that thing that we did that actually addressed this exact topic. Yeah, no, we're just going to ignore that now because it's not convenient to our plot.
Because this argument itself comes from a very narrow worldview and perspective, that the world in history did not begin until your moment of birth. And everything that you look at can only be looked at through this narrow lens of modernity, and not even acknowledge the fact that the generation that Captain America came from were the people that survived the Great Depression, the ones that went off and fought the Great War, i.e. the greatest generation in American history, to act like anybody born in modern times would have the type of resiliency of somebody that was actually from that time period is ridiculous.
Yeah, to act like, well, somebody that has the perspective of someone from a different time period, they obviously can't address the modern
equities of modern time. Oh my goodness. You'd be a bigot.
Exactly. Because, I mean, in this article, they talk about how he was removed from contemporary American challenges. I don't fucking know. He's the one that has to figure out how to survive in a world that he doesn't understand very much of, because it's completely and diametrically different than the world that he grew up in. And that, I guess, apparently American values are completely different now. I don't know. That sounds very un-American to me.
Sam shows how Steve's history warped his perspective on the role of Captain America. As the man out of time, Steve's Captain America was an honorable reflection of traditional American values, but he was also removed from contemporary American challenges. Steve's perspective is in stark contrast to Sam's, as Sam understands that the role of Captain America isn't just about fighting bad guys. It's about speaking up for the oppressed and confronting the harsh realities of American political landscape. Sam is not a relic of the past. He's a product of modern history. While Steve represented the ideals of yesterday, Sam Wilson's Captain America speaks directly to the complexities of the present, making him an ideal symbol for the America that readers now know today. But I say, as somebody even living in modern times, I think our values in our America, while there were certainly things that should be addressed or could have been addressed and been better at that point in time, America was better back then. That Steve represents an ideal of what we should return to, a source of strength throughout the world, and not just complaining about every little thing that's different about us, but uniting around an idea of what America could be. And these fucking little weak-ass modern scholars that are writing all their papers using Chat GPT that are informing their fucking worldviews are idiots.
I mean, you couldn't have probably said it any better than that. These, just because somebody didn't grow up now doesn't mean that they don't understand now. In fact, somebody that has the perspective of seeing before and seeing now can understand the stark differences, identify where things have gotten better, where things have gotten worse, have a perspective that is a much more 30,000 foot view, in addition to having the experience at the boots on the ground level. Whereas Sam Wilson, he doesn't have any perspective other than his boots on the ground right now. He can't know that whether now is better or worse other than through what he reads in history books. Steve is in the unique position, was always in the unique position to look and see at where things improved and where things got completely off track from the promise of America, the more simple promise of America, which is generally liberty and justice for all. That is something that Sam or any modern character other than, say, a Cable or Bishop could truly understand, because they're the only, well, maybe Dr. Doom, he does have that time platform. I don't know if I'd necessarily put him in the running to be Captain America, though. But you need somebody that has that historical perspective to see where things went right, where they went wrong, and to know how to change back to it.
But that's the problem. These guys don't like Captain America. They don't like what he stands for, but they do like that he's very popular, that he sells action figures, that his logo is popular, and they don't want that logo and those ideals associated with what that character comes from and what he represents. So we need to remove the skin and everything about that character and put him on somebody else that better represents what we believe in, and act like that's fucking Captain America. Once you remove the ideals, once you remove what he represents, he's not Captain America. So truly, there is no fucking successor to Captain America. There's fucking one.
The only person that could have ever worked on that is Bucky, because he's the only other character with that kind of ability to see that same type of perspective. And Bucky is flawed in it because he had his brain all fucked up and he's never quite sure what's his actual memories of history versus what he got programmed into and what he believes his ideals are. So there really isn't a successor to Steve as Captain America. It's the egotism of these modern writers that are basically saying, yeah, everything before now doesn't matter because of these few failures of the past. All the ideals of the past are also a failure and must be forgotten as well. You see this a lot in communist Marxist beliefs, which is because the past was flawed, we must completely erase it and start a year zero. You had it happen in Korea. They tried doing it in Vietnam. China basically did it, until they had to kind of reverse because the populace wouldn't completely get behind erasing all of history before, the glorious revolution. But all these people, all these cultures that have, and governments and philosophies that have done this, that sit on that very far left side of the spectrum, all try this at some point of forget history. It's flawed. Therefore, we should ignore all of it. And we need
it also is the naivety of not only the writers, but the media, that the reason that Steve Rogers is popular as Captain America is because he's called Captain America. It's not about what he stands for, what he represents, or the history behind the character, because they're fucking idiots. They continued. Sam was as important a character as Falcon, but he didn't have the in-universe respect, authority that comes with being Captain America. The controversy surrounding his public statement showcases the immense power that Captain America holds. The shield is more than just a weapon. It's a huge platform for change, and Sam uses it to challenge the status quo, basically identifying, spotlighting what their real game here is. They don't really care about Captain America. They want the platform. They want the shield to represent what they believe in, which obviously is a bastardized version of what it originally meant. And Falcon's not important as Falcon because he doesn't have that respect, because he's not an A-list character like Captain America. So we take Captain America, we put him on Falcon, and act like this was a huge success.
Exactly. I mean, you've seen this happen with almost all of Marvel's quote-unquote legacy heroes. That's why it's such an important kind of cultural touchstone to eliminate Logan and make X-23 into Wolverine. That's why it matters that they were getting rid of, that they immediately, when Brian Bendis took over Iron Man, he came in and immediately eliminated actual Tony Stark. And we had to deal for so long with people demanding that we refer to Riri Williams as Iron Man. The same thing with Sam as Captain America. It's the same thing with Gogurt Hulk. It's almost an admission here that they don't like the characters. They like what those characters, their cultural relevancy allows them to do under the guise of using those characters. They will hollow them out, use them as a skin suit to turn it into a medium for a message, rather than understanding that the character was the medium and the message. When you change the message of it, if you wanted to just make the most social justice-y character in history and just call him Batman, even though he has nothing to do with Batman, there's nothing that makes him Batman other than, well, he has the name of Batman, therefore that makes him Batman. They tried it with Jace Fox. That was right. It was Jace Fox. It was they tried it there. They tried it whenever they turned John Kent into Superman, because they have a character that is the message, almost completely wrapped up in the message, because we all remember what happened with Sam when he became Captain America. He stopped being the same. He had no longer anything even close to the perspective or personality that Sam Wilson of the comics ever had. He became Barack Obama in a Captain America costume with wings. ways. Like his whole personality shifted. We saw it happen in the TV show too, where his entire personality changed. They wanted Sam Wilson as a character, and they wanted Captain America for name cachet, and they wanted to hollow them both out, shove them together, and fill them with the message TM.
Finally, they say Captain America should make people uncomfortable as he reflects what America is today. Sam's boldness, courage, and willingness to speak out for what is right make him the more fitting symbol for the country that Rogers ever could have been. Sam's cap reflects America's complexities. He is strong enough to carry the shield and wise enough to wield it as the right causes. Sam Wilson honors Steve's legacy by understanding what it means to be Captain America Day and acting on those convictions. Captain America should make you feel proud. Captain America should make you want to aspire to be a better person. Captain America should make you root for the good guys. Captain America should make you a lot of things with his actions and the people that he's fighting. But he should never make you feel uncomfortable about who you are or the history of your country. That's not what the character is supposed to represent. He's supposed to represent the ideals of America. And they bastardized it. They put the stamp on it, says the message TM, and they wonder why it doesn't work anymore. The entire American culture is turning their back on this bullshit, and people are still regurgitating this bullshit and gaslighting us left and right as if this version of Captain America will ever work. It's not Captain America. That's why they don't like it. That's why they don't call him that. They call him Falcon Cap. Captain America shouldn't make people feel uncomfortable because the writer of this article doesn't like what they stand for.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, well, there is one group of people that Captain America should make feel uncomfortable. Commies. Should always make commies.
Yes.
Yeah. Make, all the hardcore left-wing authoritarian ideologies, it should absolutely make uncomfortable, because Captain America stands for America and individualism and exceptionalism. This is an absurd take by these writers. I mean, yeah, it's a marginally regurgitated article from 10 years ago that's been updated to reference all the things involved in how, as well, and they basically took it as an opportunity to call the producers of Brave New World cowards for not going as far as in the movie that Nick Spencer did in 2015 in the comic. The reason why it's been rejected for so long, we're now at 10 years of Falcon Cap, and he is never going to be accepted as Captain America. He never has, he never will. But, he's the better Cap. He's the one that can see where, where Steve failed, and where him as a product of today that isn't, well, I guess he isn't burdened by what has been, so he can, whatever the hell the other side of Kamala's fucking weird catchphrase was.
I don't think they think he's been burdened, or Steve Rogers has been burdened by what has been. I think he's been, kind of infected by what was, and they don't want to bring that stuff back. This needs to be a new turning point. Well, I think reflect on the past and where we came from and why America was considered great in the world.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the problem is they consider that Steve Rogers is Captain America being burdened by what has been, and what has been was Steve Rogers. And instead they want somebody that is more, now, and that is an empty vessel in which they can just shove the message. Because while Falcon has a very distinct and clear personality, Falcon Cap is a blank slate that they could just fill with modern, postmodern bullshit. And argue that, the reason why he's a completely different personality is because he realizes that now that he's taken on the responsibility of Captain America, he has to be more serious and not be as fun-loving or whatever, or just as,
I would use the word
normal. As normal, approachable, and everyday as Sam Wilson was. as Falcon was. No, instead he has to hollow himself out and become an empty vessel that they then fill up. It's sad. It's pathetic. There's a reason why we now have a decade-long track record of Sam Wilson being a failure, both commercially and critically, as Captain America. He's never even been able to stand on his own, much less step out of the shadow of Steve Rogers, and he never will.
One thing is certain, the gaslighting will continue until these media sites go out of business. But one thing is certain also, people are rejecting it en masse. They just don't really care. Certainly doesn't work in comic books. Kind of failed in streaming. Appears to be on its way to losing lots of money in the movie world as well. So interesting stuff. We like the entire conversation that Doc and I had because we went pretty long on this. We did edit it down for the YouTube. You do need to go over to Think Critical Patreon right now. It is live on the Doc Unfiltered podcast. Link in the video description. Doc is right here. You also get the Q&A and some other wonderful stuff there. Hope to see you on the Patreon very, very soon.